What's going on, everybody? Thanks for tuning back into the Hook 937 YouTube channel. Today, we're tearing this Dyna down to the frame so we can build it back better. Let's jump right into it. Coming at y'all today with another Dyna video. So we're out here in the garage. We're working on the Dyna. I've been kind of plugging away for a minute, but I decided, hey, I need to stop and record what I got going on because how far that we're taking this bike apart, I kind of want it documented so when it goes to get put back together, we could do it in reverse order. Now, I'm not saying that I'm doing everything correctly, but I'm doing everything with kind of what makes sense with my years of experience. So on this side of the bike, we went ahead, we pulled the security module, we pulled the battery tray, we pulled the battery cover, took the battery out. This is our equalizer, wiring harness, and trailer harness. So we took all that out of this area and we disconnected our speedometer, which ran up the frame here and is now sitting here because we're removing these gauges. So I got everything disconnected. The gauges can come off now. I took my turn signal wiring off. There is a few repairs that we need to do there. And all that's left is the headlight wiring and the switch panel wiring, these two switches, which are here. But according to the manual, which I got sitting over there, according to the manual, those connectors are just inside the frame here. I kind of looked down in there and I could see one for sure. So we're taking this wiring here apart. Took the turn signal security module out. This is off of our regulator, which we did in the last video. It goes to this side of this block. This is power from the battery. This is power going to the fuse block. Here's the fuse block. Turn signal security module wiring here. This is our diag port and a singular relay. We're trying to get all that out of the way. So our ignition module's behind that. We could take all this wiring out and we could try to pull the wiring out of the inside of this frame. Okay, so I've taken this bracket off, the coil off. We got all this wiring here. And this wiring just ran up the front. This was for the fuel gauge, the map sensor, and the horn. So that's there, all this here. So kind of at a point where the rear fender needs to come off so I can see what's going on in there. So I took the bolts out for the rear fender. Some of them were pretty stinking rusty. So we're gonna have to replace those bolts, I think. But we're about to take the rear fender off. All right, so this turned into quite the job, but we got the full wiring harness from the rear pulled out back here. Everything that was here and on the other side. Biggest things were brake light switch and oil transmission switch, neutral. This is my neutral switch. And then there's a power wire coming here. Everything else stayed here with the bike. And then we disconnected everything up there. And it was actually, you have to pull a good bit of the harness out here to get everything all the way down to these clips. But since we got it all out, look how bald that tire is. We're gonna go ahead and just try to remove this full wiring harness, pull it through the frame, one-handed here. And that is our Dyna's full wiring harness. Now, all right, so my phone keeps like saying its memory's full, so I've deleted some stuff, but we got the brake line undone, throttle cable's undone, clutch cable undone. Had to undo all of that to get the clutch cable off, but so the mirror and everything's over there. But we're getting ready to take these handlebars off. And then that's pretty much it for today that I want to do. But we're gonna talk about a couple of what we plan to do going forward and why we've torn it so far apart. So there's the gauges. Let's finish taking this off. One more. There's the handlebars completely off. And when I pulled the cover, this came out, which is not supposed to. This came about like that. It's got a rubber seal here that seals up against that so we don't leak oil. And just about how it is now, I found this just laying in the bottom of the inner primary, which this goes a rubber ring here. This goes in that groove. Get that here in a minute. And this seals in here and bolts to that. And I'm like, man, that's crazy, that's laying around. And then I found the bolt that was supposed to be holding it in, rattling around in there. Now in 2018, I shipped this bike back to the States from Europe, and they broke the shifter off. So the first thing I had to do was go to a Harley dealer and have this bar replaced. And they must not have staked that bolt down. You see how all these bolts here are locked and tabbed over? Find another one right there. That one wasn't re-tabbed over. It fell out, that fell off, and that's been rattling around in there. And I mean, the bike ran great. So hopefully we can just replace that and keep it moving. Anyways, gonna pull the compensator, gonna pull the clutch, get the baskets out of the way, the chain out of the way, go on the other side, pull the starter, then we can start unstaking all those bolts, and then we can pull the inner primary. It's actually quite a bit of a job. I'm just gonna go ahead and get busy. All we have to do, lefty-loosey, righty-loosey, and these should just come right off. So there's that, that's lefty-loosey. This one should be righty-loosey. Once we put the transmission into gear, all righty-loosey, and that came undone. Now, all right, y'all, so all I did was I just loosened up this nut so that I could get some slack out of the chain because the chain was tight. So now that the chain is loose, these should there we go. Just come right off. This paint on the inner primary is wore out, so we need to get that inner primary fixed and repainted. You can see here where that bolt was bouncing around, that bolt I found earlier. You can see where that was bouncing around for a long time. So we need to unpin this, pull that out. We can pull all this out, unpin all these other bolts, and then we can pull the full inner primary. Yes, all right. And take that back off. Push this arm back through. There's our inner primary. That's what we're doing right now. Is we are very close to having this bike down to only a frame. But we got to remove the engine, transmission, this swing arm's got to come off. And I was kind of looking, I was really like, hey, I'm going to separate the engine from the trans. I'm going to pull the engine, then I'll come back and get the trans. But the more I look at it, the more I'm like, I could pull that engine trans together, because why separate it if I don't have to? It is more work, and it's all got to come out anyway. A lot of guys will get to this point and they'll just stop because, well, they'll get to the point where they remove the engine and they'll just stop because it is a lot more work to remove the transmission from the bike. And because you have to take out the swing arm. To take out the swing arm, there's a lot of stuff in the rear that you have to do. We've already done all that stuff. So we're about to attempt to just go ahead and take the swing arm out. And once the swing arm's out of the way, we should be able to remove the engine and trans together. First thing we gotta do, remove the rear suspension. Okay, that part's done. I didn't, and I'm sure there's a million YouTube videos out there, but I ain't watched none of them. And here we are. So let's see what size that is. First time since it left the factory. Let's get this swing arm out of there, boys. All right, here we go. All right, got the bolt out of this side. Bike is supported. There's our swing arm axle. Now that the swing arm's out, let's see if we can walk this thing forward enough to get the belt off. Yep, we sure can. Now let's take it all up. Oh boy, it's one unit. Wow, guys. This bike has come a long way in just a few days. I haven't uploaded a single video yet, but I think we're getting close. All right. So I got 2 bolts here to hold the transmission, 2 bolts here to hold the front of the motor, a stabilizer bolt for the top of the motor, that this engine will come out. All right, y'all, so it's a couple of bolts back here I can't really get to take this piece off. So we're just gonna, it's pretty loose in there. I'm just gonna try to pluck it out. I have no idea how heavy this is, but I'll take it over there to the welding table. And hopefully this goes good here. Oh shoot. Okay. If I just let the bike down a little bit. All right, let's try it from down here. Maybe I can pick it up a little higher. Come on, we can get it. We can do this. Oh, there it is. That's a little harder than I thought it was going to be, leaving it all together. But we got it out of there, just barely, about knocked her off the stand here. Holy cow, guys. I've never seen the Dyna this empty. That pan, you see this plate here, that pan sits almost flush with this, and where the starter bolts in is like hitting this, so you have to tilt it big time. And then it's kind of too heavy here with the trans, so I had to grab back in the starter hole. and clear this whole bar with that transmission pan. But all right, so there you guys have it. This Dyna's pulled all the way down to the frame, and we left the front end on it for now, and you'll see why in a future episode. But why did we tear it all the way down to the frame? Well, for one, when you look up under here, it's just surface rust, but there is some surface rust. There is a little bit of corrosion. It's nothing that's going to compromise the structural integrity of the frame, but it's enough to give me an excuse. And what I've always wanted to do is paint the frame of this bike. Every bike you see out there on the road, or at least almost all of them, the frame is black. And I thought to myself, man, how cool would it be if we color matched the frame? So I bought some different samples here from prismatic powders to try to match the color of the bike. And there's a couple of these that are like spot on, real good, right? And so I've been thinking, dude, this thing would look killer with a green frame, but the colors are kind of dark. And I had this crazy idea, and I think we're gonna go with it. So my crazy idea was gold. And so I got this color gold. It's very shiny. It looks amazing. And that ties into, like, here's our billet gauge mount. Here's our billet clutch and brake lever. And so we're already doing a lot of gold on this bike, and I know I haven't told you that, but maybe not a lot, but we're going to be doing a tasteful amount of gold. And so I said, man, I wonder what a gold frame would look like. So I had this image generated here, and guys, now this is not a perfect image, right? But it gives you a really good idea, and I was kind of blown away. So we're definitely going to get this frame done in gold. I think it's going to look incredible. So I think that this bike's going to look incredible with a gold frame. We already got a guy lined up who's going to do this frame for us, but we have we're going to do some other bits and pieces with it as well. I have an extra set of wheels. I've been thinking about doing the wheels in gold, leaving the rotors black. We're probably getting some new suspension built. Maybe I'll do the uppers gold, the lowers black, throw some gold in all throughout this whole bike, and really make it come together. There's a lot of guys who use black as accent color, chrome as accent color. Haven't seen a lot of guys go full tilt with the gold, and I think it's going to look incredible. Curious to see what you guys think in the comments down below. But that's all I got for this one. Hey, I appreciate you guys coming along for the ride. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. This is going to be a huge build, rare bike, and we're tearing it down to the frame to build it back better. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think of that gold. And go ahead and hit the bell. Give us a like, whatever. I appreciate you guys. Catch y'all on the next one.